Quick, you need to sell these cards before we find out any more info on this year's Mega Tens. Make sure you guys smash something crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more some content. Bellstar, wow, this is very interesting. Because everybody out here is like, this is the current package, this is everything. This is modern era Yu-Gi-Oh! In a nutshell. It's like, Robbie, you're pointing out and going, hey, you know, we should probably move this. Well, here's the thing with a lot of things that we're going to talk about in this video. Everything will eventually get reprinted unless it's some super rare, you know, exception to the rule. But looking at, you know, just what's available right now in the Bellstar package, I mean, yeah, it is a continuation of lore, but if you're like, oh, you know, I'm going to hold and, you know, I'm going to get all my full value back out of this, it's not realistic, all right? Obviously, when you pick up cards and you're like, well, you know, we're going to hold these for the long term, it's not going to happen. Like, that's just, unfortunately, that's how Yu-Gi-Oh! Works at this point. I mean, a meta engine, like, really, you think that a meta engine is going to hold some sort of, you know, place in the meta, especially after, you know, potentially, what, 2 to 3 ban list by the time, you know, we would be heading on into these tins here. That's very bold of you to assume that Konami wouldn't crater, you know, a part of this package out of orbit just to maintain, you know, the safety of the game. And, I mean, once again, you know, it might not be the upcoming list. It might not be the next list after that. It might be the list after that. You know, anything is highly possible in this. But I'm looking at, like, the current meta engines in the game, and I don't feel confident at all wanting to keep a Bellstar playset just because, well, you know, maybe I kind of want to play some meta here, you know. Maybe I'm going to go ahead. No. All right. If you're planning on playing Tier 1 meta, then sure, but just be expected you're not going to get the same return as the initial investment into it unless you're extremely lucky. There's always an exception to every rule. SP Little Knight. Oh, man. You know, this card was we can say that now, right? This card was $140 at one point, and it's like borderlining 150? Wait, what? Those are kind of like borderlining gone now at this point in time. Well, that's what happens when a meta staple comes into the light and people look at this card and they're like, wow, you know, reprint? You know, and it just takes one initial reprint thought here to start forcing a card down. And you've got people out here, they're like, well, you know, time to go sell my SP at $100 or less. I mean, yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at here at this point is just, once again, if you're investing in current meta staples and you expect them to maintain some sort of reprint, when you know that tins exist or reprint sets in general exist, it's always just a ticking time bomb waiting to happen. So, you know, your current meta staples, obviously, if this is a different case other than, you know, like the Wanted package, because you can play many a decks, you know, with SP Little Knight, and I would justify, honestly, if I've already spent the money on the SP Little Knight, I'm planning on playing Yu-Gi over the next, you know, couple of months, then I would obviously probably lean towards keeping it unless you can justify to yourself, I don't need this card. I can play Yu-Gi-Oh! Without this. Then I think that's fine. But on the flip side of the equation here, you got a lot to think about. All right, how bad do you need that so-called $100 back out of that current meta staple that you're kind of playing with right now? I guess that's what it comes down to. You know, can I survive without this, or do I really need those 100 smackaroos I spent back? It's that is the question of today. Next up is the Horus Package. Wait, really? You put the Horus Package on here? Yeah, so here's an interesting thing with this. MCETs are the most expensive part of the package. Unless you picked up quarter century everything, well, then you're just effectively rich at that point. But I think the biggest thing with all of this is when you're looking at the Horus Package and you're looking at, like, how the engine is available, how it impacts, how much can I play with the Horus Package? You know, if you're considering getting rid of the Horus Package because of reprints, you're cutting down on a lot of your playability options. Your rank 8 toolbox decks get shut off. If you're trying to play, like, the Horus control deck out here, you know, with, like, MCETs, maybe some Vanities, some Light and Darkness Dragons, if you're getting rid of that stuff, you know, you're losing the potential to play all of these decks. Now, obviously, the impact of getting rid of SP Little Knight in comparison to the Horus stuff, I mean, SP goes in effectively everything. By getting rid of the Horus stuff, I mean, you're just taking away all of the main engine components that you would want. That means you can't play tier. Sad thing is, I think the Horus stuff does make a lot more of these more, I guess, widely available budget decks kind of just get shut down if you get rid of it. So the same question comes down to this. Can you survive without the package in terms of deck building? Do you need the money return off of these initial investments to, you know, kind of recoup back something that you may have spent at an earlier date? And that's what you're looking at here. But if you're planning on, you know, do I need to pick up Horus stuff? No. Be patient. All right, this is to point out and go, hey, you know, you're holding on to some slightly pricey things. Obviously, everything in this video has already began the downward descent and will continue the downward descent because of these core reprints and things with people expecting these. It happens every single time, and it's a story that will repeat itself until the end of this game. Next up is branded cards. So this is interesting because we've seen this cycle for the last 2 years. Something in branded gets reprinted. Something in branded goes up in value. The problem here is we're at the end of the cycle for cards available in the branded deck. And that's a good thing because this now that we're at the end of this reprint cycle here of all of this, you have reached the point of, wow, branded has officially entered into the realm of being cheap. That's what you want to see. That's exactly what you want to hear. But if you're remaining cards like Sanctifier, like Quem, you know, maybe some of the higher rarity, you know, Starlight rares that you might have collected over time, this is it, all right? Either the Starlights are going to go up, they're going to maintain, or they're going to go down. But the value days of, you know, Quem and the remaining bunch here, they're over, all right? Now we begin the downward spiral into this deck entering into the cheap phase. That's good, all right? But if you're, once again, I bring up here, if you're holding these cards, you're like, you know, I'm going to wait. I have a secret rare original Clem. Let's take a moment to look at Blazing Cartesia and how they are like $3, $4 now for the original print when they were much, much more. All right. History repeats itself, everybody. You have the same endless cycle of, wow, that was worth something at one point. Wow, not anymore. Yeah, tell me about it, actually. That's just how the cookie crumbles. So, if you're holding on to your branded cards at the moment, well, you might want to get what you can if you don't want to play branded for the next couple of months. That's what you're really looking at here at the long haul for this. Wow, that's a lot of stuff to kind of think about here. Now, the last little bit here is other things that you think are going to lose some sort of value along the way. You know, the other big thing is this set is also 400 cards. All right, that's 400. And if you're looking at this and you're like, oh, you know, like I'm going to get an SP Little Knight for $10, baby. And it's like, no, you're not. All right, like realistically, that's not going to happen with this set. There is too much available in these tins to make people, I guess, think that they're going to get a good opportunity for what's available here, because that's not the case. All right, with what's going on with this style of product, you need to fully remember that you still have to have a store open this product. They still have to get lucky to get these cards, and knowing the spread of availability for these sorts of products, it's quite potentially rough. That's why I bring up here the last little bit of this segment is, you know, things that you could potentially think might get reprinted. You know, the market is always a place of where you as a person need to make decisions based on yourself. You know, not what somebody in a blue shirt on the internet says. I just bring up these points going, hey, you know, they're already they're getting reprinted. Now we follow the trends of, wow, where did all my money go? I can't believe this. Why is this worth nothing now? And it's like, I can't see why, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh vendors don't want to buy my cards right now. It's the same cycle over and over again. So we'll have to wait and see. But for now, those are things that I would give some consideration to, given the circumstances. What do you think? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back later in the day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.